What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Turf Therapy. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons why your lawn sucked this summer, starting with water management. And I know us YouTube creators have done our best job at confusing the heck out of you when it comes to maintaining water in your lawn. So I'm going to try my best attempt to simplify it. Straightforward, you need 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week. But let me ask you this, how are you actually gauging what is enough water? Are you just going out there, turning it on for an undetermined amount of time and not knowing what that output looks like? I'd argue that 80% of you are. Now, the other popular way of doing it is getting a tuna can. I think you should stop doing that. I mean, really, what's the point of it when you can just buy a spiked gauge that has the measurements on it like so? Give this a try. I don't think you'll regret it. Tuna cans got real popular. Let's try to make these popular. The other thing that you probably did wrong this summer is that you watered your lawn at the improper time of day. Now, there's a couple different options of getting this done, and I got a few I can show you right now. Let's go around to the front. And I get it, someone's out there going to tell you, oh, just water at night, nothing's wrong with it. And in the right circumstances, in the right grass type, that's true. But if you're dealing with a cool season lawn, the best time to water your lawn is, in fact, in the morning, period, hands down. There's no debating it. The risk of inducing any type of disease is going to be at its lowest. So it is easiest just to get on the train as far as watering your lawn in the morning, rather doing it in the late evening. Prove me wrong. Now, outside of that, there's a couple different options you can use to still enjoy your beautiful bed and your family a little bit longer and not have to wake up at 2, 3 in the morning to water your lawn. One of those options are this, a beehive timer. If you don't already have an irrigation system, what you can do is you can pick you up one of these fancy systems, really cheap. They're about $60 to $80, depending if you catch them on sale. It's the beehive timer. You can program it via Bluetooth app. It hooks up to your Wi-Fi. It's super reliable, very easy to use. Now, if you think this is too complicated for you, there's another option. My man Polo, he did a video on the Orbit timer that he walked you through exactly how to use it. And even then, there were some people who were like, oh, that's too complicated, I can't get it to work. Well, if you're one of those people who's just like technology's not your thing and you're inept when it comes to putting those things together, it's no shame. I have something I think that's going to be perfect for you that I'll be covering in an upcoming video, and it's the Melnor sunrise timer. This thing literally starts watering when the sun rises. There's 3 things on here to select: off, on to turn the faucet on, and then set it to your timer based off how long you need to water your lawn to achieve a 1/2 inch at a time. I don't think it could be any simpler, and Melnor deserves a round of applause for inventing something so simply beautiful for the market. Round of applause. Last thing I'll leave you with when it comes to water management is don't procrastinate on this, guys. Watch the weather. When you're coming up into what looks like a drought spell, or your temps are rising above 80 to 85 degrees for a cool season lawn, and you're not receiving 1.5 inches for rainfall, you need to supplement with irrigation. The longer you wait, then your lawn goes into dormancy. The soil then gets hydrophobic, which means it rejects the moisture when you put it down, which turns into a whole nother issue, and then you're turning to wetting agents, so forth and so on. While you go to the news channel, punch in for the weather, punch out before they get to the depressing stuff, and then take your behind to work and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, let's roll. Now, another one that most likely got you as a normal homeowner this season is mistaking a disease as heat stress. It's really easy to do. Don't be ashamed for it. Heat stress typically is going to look like a needling of the blade. It's when the blade literally folds in on itself, it looks dehydrated, and that's because it is. It's not getting enough moisture, and even if it is, the conditions are way too warm and it just can't keep up. Disease, on the other hand, well, that's going to have actual lesions on the blade and possible presentations of mycelium, and you'd actually have the disease triangle prevalent in your area. That's your pathogen, then your host, and then the actual environment. Now my man Polo has a beautiful video breaking all this down, but for the most part, that's the gist of it. If you want more information on that and you think that you suffered from it, I'll link that in the description below. Now moving forward with the environmental piece, remember earlier when I said, hey, the best time to water your lawn is in the morning, especially for a cool season lawn? Well, part of that is if we have the proper environment using the 150 rule, meaning that your low end temps plus your humidity level is equaling 150 and you're adding moisture to your lawn at night, guess what you just did? You gave it the final puzzle for that moisture to be on the blade, sit on the blade, and induce some sort of disease. Now, with that being said, you need to learn what's relevant and prevalent in your area. It's your responsibility. We can try to help you out as much as possible, and the best place to get educated on that would be Polo's channel as well. I'll drop a few down below of your common ones, but don't be afraid to understand your weather patterns and then talk to your local extension office or reach out to the local groundskeeper, greenskeeper at your golf course, your favorite golf course if you're into that. But you really need to understand that, so that way you're treating it with the proper fungicides and you're not continuously using the same one over and over and over again, and then these funguses are becoming resistant to whatever mode of action you're targeting with them. And it seems a little bit overwhelming right now, but I promise you in the long run, for cool season lawns specifically, it'll be worth the effort of learning the ins and outs of both fungicides and what's relevant in your area. All right, we're almost to the end. The next one, and I've kind of just smashed these together, which is fertilization and herbicides. We'll start with the easier one, which is fertilization. Typically, when you see people putting a lot of fertilizer down in the middle of the summer, it's most likely because they're chasing color. It's much healthier for the lawn if you stick somewhere around no more than 2/10 of a pound every 2 to 3 weeks. It's much better for the lawn. And then with that, you want to be careful with your salts. Now I know during the summer, there's a lot of push for summer stress blends out there in the DIY market. I want to caution you as far as which source of potassium you're using specifically for cool season lawns. Salt does what to meat? It dries it out, as it does to us in our bodies. So when it comes to the source of potassium, the best thing for your lawn is going to be sulfate of potash. Muriate of potash has a high salt index, and it's just not the best thing for your lawn. Can you get away with it? Absolutely. But if you want the best for your lawn, and I imagine you do because you're here on my channel, I would look to see if you can get your hands on sulfate of potash. Now, if the only thing that you can get your hand on is MOP, that's fine. Use it. It'll still do the job. Just keep in mind that you want to make sure that you get adequate moisture down when you apply that stuff. Don't let it sit on your soil surface too long. And then don't overdo it. Stick around 2/10 of a pound and you'll be all right. Now, when it comes to herbicides and herbicide management during the summer, you're going to want to avoid it if at all possible. Most labels will tell you once air temperatures reach 90 degrees Fahrenheit, you really just want to avoid using them and just wait until the fall. And this is true. Now, I do understand that there's some caveats to that. Like if you did a spring seeding like I did a spring renovation, complete full overhaul renovation, and I had a substantial amount of weed pressure in the front portion of my front lawn side plot. So I had to address that because if I didn't, it was going to choke out the turf that I just worked so hard to get established. In those circumstances, I want you to remember that most herbicides are based off of two different things. Either it's ester based or it's amine based. And I know this is going to sound a little bit counterproductive to what I just told you about the fertilizers, but stick with me. Amine based herbicides is a salt based herbicide. Hey, how you doing? An ester-based herbicide is a synthetic oil-based herbicide. The ester herbicides are really good in cooler temperatures. Now, if you have to apply something to your lawn during the summer, you're going to want to go with the amine-based herbicide. And it's simply the reason because of that is your ester-based herbicides are a lot more volatile. The increase of drift is higher, and the ability for you to damage your desirable turf runs a greater risk. So keep in mind though, when you use an amine-based herbicide, that salt index is still there, which which means you're gonna make sure that you get an adequate moisture still, like we started out in the beginning of this video. Now, regardless, if you go with a mean base or ester base, just know that you're still gonna wanna look for a 10-day window where your average air temperatures are not on the high side. Finding them when they're somewhere around mid 80s and low 80s would be best. If you can get you a 10-day window of that, and go ahead and make that application, and you'll end up on the safer side. I did it. I still took a little bit of hit damage myself, but we worked out all right in the end. Now for that bonus material. Now my man Cam just dropped the video this morning, and it was called Summer Canopy Decline. And you'll have this issue whether or not you have a summer canopy decline situation or if you have a north-facing building like mine. Now right now you're witnessing the 4 hours of sun I get per day up front. And because of that, I had a huge issue with thinning up front. A solution for that for me, and it could be for you, is to just redefine your landscaping bed. And then when I did that, I actually took plugs from portions of this that was growing in well, and I plugged it throughout these thin areas, which right now I can't tell where they were because they've all filled in, because I redistributed that already plug of grass with my Pro plugger. The other circumstances, the summer canopy decline, there's not really a big fix for it other than thinning out some branches. And even then you may still be stuck. And when you have those microclimates like that, that can lead to very specific issues like Pythian blight, like my man Cam dealt with. So I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll catch you next time. Peace.